Hello and welcome to this week's Newsdesk with me, Chris Stafford. It is episode 30 of season 4 already, and we're recording on August the 8th, which is the last day of the Commonwealth Games taking place in Birmingham, England, where my friend Nancy Gillan has been straight off the European Championships for football. She's gone straight into the Commonwealth Games. Nancy, are you ready for a break yet?
I am, and I don't want that to sound like I haven't been. Really enjoyed the past, month, 5 weeks of sport, because it has been really brilliant. But yeah, I was saying to you, it's nice, I think, to have a bit of time coming up where, it's a little less busy and you can reset and go again, because yeah, it's been definitely very intense, but also at the same time very fortunate to have all these amazing sporting events literally taking place on my doorstep. It's been such a good summer so far already. Yeah.
It has been a rich summer of sport for women. And if anybody was under a rock for the past few weeks and you're just emerging into the daylight and the sunlight, let me tell you that England did win the European Championships, beating Germany 2-1 at Wembley. And on the back of that, within 24 hours, there was a neat bit of PR and timing that England and the USWNT announced that they would be playing a friendly tournament in October. Now, perfect timing, Nancy, and I know that you got on there right away for tickets, and within 24 hours they were sold out except for VIP and hospitality.
Yeah, it was. Well, I think it was a bit of a masterstroke by the FA to. I don't know at what point, probably before the final they would already have done it. But I think to have sold out Wembley for the final, and then after the final, there's just been this absolutely incredible wave of attention and interest in the Lionesses, not just the Lionesses, but women's football in general. Like all the ticket sales for the Women's Super League matches are going through the roof and stuff. So I think to organise even a friendly match against the team that, are the world champions, I think have long been kind of held as the standard in international women's football. And we haven't played in a couple of years, but there is quite a big rivalry between England and the US. I think organising that again at Wembley was just such a brilliant idea. And yeah, like you said, it sold out in 24 hours. I was in the queue for tickets for ages because I kept getting to the front, and then it threw me out and put me to the start again. And the FA's ticket site just couldn't handle that amount of people that were trying to get tickets for that match. But yeah, my friend managed to get some, so whether I go as press or a fan yet, I don't know, but at least I've got a ticket in the stadium as backup, just in case.
Just in case, exactly, because I know that's not one you want to miss. I will be watching it. It's on Fox Sport 1 over here in the US. That's October the 7th. It's a 3 p.m. kickoff Eastern time. That's 8 p.m. BST. Or you actually might have changed your clocks by then. I can't remember. But it is going to be a fantastic event, not least of all because there's that wave, as you say, of interest now. People are really excited about women's football and women's sport. The timing is absolutely perfect, and it is just a friendly, right? It is just a friendly. And the neat thing is, Nancy, even though I can't be there, I can't lose because I have dual citizenship. I can't lose this one, so it's going to be really hard. It's going to be an interesting game to watch.
Yeah,
both of my I'm rooting for both teams.
Who do you think your heart is going to back one more than the other? You might find when you're watching it that you might have more of a support for one over the other, but it will be strange.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see. It really will. I'm really looking forward to it. I wish I could be there. I can't. I got too much going on here, but yeah, it would be one game worth jumping over the pond for. But I know you will be there cheering for me, whatever team you cheer for me. That's fine with me.
I'm definitely cheering for England. 100%.
And I love the ongoing, the momentum that the Lionesses, the England team, have generated as a result of their success just a week ago. It seems it's only just over a week ago. And of course, they've done the media tours, they've done all the celebrity, and they will continue to do that. And I'm a big fan of all of them, as we've discussed, Nancy, and especially Leah Williamson. I think she has a wonderful temperament to be a captain. And all of them are, promoting the game left and right, and I think keeping this momentum going. One of my favourite expressions, I mentioned it to you, we must take the current when it flows or lose our ventures. And this is absolutely what's happening now. But I will say I have a little bit of a gripe with them when they keep saying this is the start, this is the beginning, because that is dismissing and demeaning what has happened before in women's sports, and all the women that have got us this far in sport. They're keeping the momentum going and doing a first-class job. But don't you agree? I mean, it's wrong to say this is the beginning, because it started a long time ago. Not just in football, domestically or internationally, but with women's sports. I mean, we're raising, and the tide is rising for everybody. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think it's a good point. And yeah, I don't think, when we look back in history at this, I don't think that we should see this as the point that, where it kind of all started and the push for gender equality in sport started. So yeah, I think it's definitely more of a continuation. It's definitely not the end, that's for sure. And it's more of a continuation of the work that's been done as opposed to a start. Yeah.
I mean, we talk about these fantastic crowds at Wembley, which they were amazing. But look at the World Cup final in France. Fantastic sellout crowd again. So it's not. This is new. This is not new. It's a continuum. Right? It isn't the start, it's a continuum, because we don't want to dismiss or diminish or demean all the work that women have done in the past in order for these players today, these athletes in whatever sport women are competing, to be standing on the shoulders of those that came before, because that's what they're doing, and they're continuing the momentum, they're keeping the wheels turning, they're keeping that energy going and all that enthusiasm and motivation and goodwill, and I think fair play as well, and a tremendous atmosphere. When you look at the crowds and the atmosphere of the events that you've been to for women's sports in the past few weeks, Nancy.
Yeah, I mean, it has been just brilliant, really. I think the Euros final, and then I went up to the Commonwealth Games yesterday, and I went to the women's hockey final and the women's T20 cricket final, and all of them, obviously stadiums varying in size, but all of them sold out. All of the crowd completely fully engaged with what was happening in front of them. Just a really brilliant atmosphere, very kind of, jovial, fun atmosphere, an environment that was nice to be in, and everyone enjoying the sport. And I think giving all the female athletes in front of them their due. So yeah, the past week in terms of that, it's been absolutely incredible to see that happen, because I suppose because I've had these 3 events concentrated in 1 week. But it's definitely, as you were saying, a continuation, a really nice continuation of everything that's happened. I mean, we've just got to keep pushing as well.
It has. Yeah, we just got to keep going, keep pushing. And thank all the women that have come, in the past that have, got us to where we are now, in order for us to be able to continue to build on that. So it is just a solid foundation now, and I think the future is very exciting, as unoriginal as that sounds, but it really is, Nancy, when you think of what we're building right? Just in the building blocks that are really solid now and increasing the crowds at these events. And that's going to have a knock-on effect, and we could talk about that for a long time. But I think it is very, very exciting. I'm sure you're just as excited as I am to see how women's sport is growing generally, not just in football now, but in the wider arena, and to minority sports, not just the mainstream sports.
Yeah, and I think it's just... Yeah, I think it's just keeping up the effort, isn't it? And I mean, it's always quite, I don't know how about you, but I find it almost satisfying. I feel like it's something that I've always believed can happen, you know, the surge of interest we're having now.
Yeah.
It's something I've always believed that can happen, and always justified by the quality of women's sport. So it's very satisfying to kind of see all of that come to fruition. And like you said, just got to keep going, and across all sports and all athletes, and just don't give up
at all levels too. From grassroots at schools, so that we have the facilities and the services, the amenities for girls in sport to make sport accessible to them, whether they want to play football or cricket or hockey, whatever they want to play, to make it equally accessible with the boys. And so they have the facilities. They don't have to use, the parking lot to change in, or, not having facilities or equipment. I mean, when you think it wasn't that long ago that women were wearing men's kit because there wasn't anything for women. So that's not so long ago. That's within your lifetime.
Yeah. And I mean, for the final, the women's Euros final, like a lot of the players on the pitch were my age or around my age, and I knew exactly like the obstacles and stuff that they had to overcome. I think that's just what makes it so much more, like emotional, and kind of like, just it's such a incredible event, because you know exactly the kind of stuff that they would have had to put up with, like playing at school or playing as a kid and stuff. It's just,
Exactly. We've come a long way. But we love you, Leah, but this is not the beginning. This is a continuum. All right. Okay, well, let's just talk quickly about football before we move to the Commonwealth Games, because we had a few games this weekend. I want to mention that over here that Megan Rapinoe actually scored. It was her first goal of the season, a lovely goal yesterday, and against Houston Dash. But that was OL Reign, of course, but unfortunately they lost 2-1 to Houston Dash. And Washington Spirit, my team, we had a 1-1, I think, draw yesterday against Racing Louisville. But Ashley Hatch was back. She was off lame for a while, but she was back on, and it was her first touch, and she scored. So all is well in Washington. Let's move on to the Commonwealth Games, Nancy. A wonderful win for England in the hockey. We know they've got a lot of really, really tough competition when it comes to field hockey. And we always find that out, of course, at the Commonwealth Games and World Cups and so on. And they managed to beat Australia, which is their arch rivals, aren't they? And I thought that was really impressive. It was a very, very popular win, of course. And it's their first gold medal, I think. Well, according to our friend Ashley Nelson back in Perth in Australia, who used to play for the Hockeyroos, she used to host the Circle podcast with us here, and I did text her just to annoy her a little bit when we won, and she said, "We'll give it to you. It was well deserved. The English girls played much better, and finally they can tick a gold medal off their to-do list." So that means they have not won a gold medal then in the Commonwealth Games in hockey, Nancy.
Yeah, I mean I know I was lucky enough to be at that match, and it was really, really brilliant. And England, it's weird in the Commonwealth Games because you have Britain, obviously, and you have England. And we've seen Britain have some success at the Olympics. But like you said, a Commonwealth Games medal has always evaded them. And it was great to see them make history. And it, like I was saying before, it was a real sellout crowd. They actually started singing "Hockey's Coming Home" instead of "Football's Coming Home." So I think they were a bit inspired by. Well, I was reading actually that they did get messages from the Lionesses in the morning as well, who'd won the Euro. So I just loved that the two English teams like kind of boosting each other and motivating each other. I really like that. But yeah, it was a really, really great match. And I just thought England were incredibly dominant. I know 2-1 sounds pretty close. But they were 2-0 up for a large part of the match. Australia scored in the dying minutes of the game and did have quite a big push towards the end of the game. But I think for a lot of the match, they didn't really look like they were going to beat England. So I would say it was pretty comfortable, which I think maybe is the most impressive thing about it, because Australia are such a dominant force in hockey. They are one of the biggest rivals to England. They've beaten England in the Commonwealth Games finals before. And yeah, it was great to see England kind of finally end that pattern and win in front of a home crowd. And it was very sunny and hot as well. So it was, good times all around.
Great sport. Yeah, I envy you being there. That would have been really exciting. And it's amazing, the people that come out for hockey, not just, for the Olympic Games, but the Commonwealth Games. There's an example. And the World Cup, there's quite a following for that sport, isn't there? I mean, I don't know if it's just in the Commonwealth countries, though, because we do get, obviously, a following over here, too. But Commonwealth countries, like cricket, of course, that's their predominant participation, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's a very popular sport, I think, in quite a lot of places. But again, talk about the crowd yesterday. It was really well supported but very very passionate. I think sometimes at multi-sport games, people go to sports and it's maybe their first time watching it, and the crowd can be a bit quiet because of that. But everyone there seemed to be fully, both Australian and England fans seemed to be fully involved and engaged with it, which was great.
Yeah, terrific. All right, well, that was hockey, and then you went and watched some cricket again. We're really getting you into the cricket, and you just picking up the ball and running with this, literally, aren't you? And you went to the home of cricket in Birmingham. That's Edgbaston, a very popular ground that's seen a lot of great cricket in its time, and that was the T20 final. And what an experience that was then. So to pick it up from there, Nancy, there was a result we were looking for.
Yeah, so Australia versus India in the final. I think if anyone knows anything about women's cricket, it's probably that Australia are incredibly dominant. I think even you could say the team is probably one of the most dominant in sport, full stop, let alone cricket, because they literally win everything. So they are the reigning 2020 and 50 over world champions. And so went into this Commonwealth Games competition, which it is the first ever cricket tournament at the Commonwealth Games, so quite historic in itself. But went into the tournament as favourites. India had a pretty good tournament and had beaten the hosts England to get there, so that's always quite hard when you're playing against a home crowd. The match was really great, and the sun was out, and 2020 is always a little bit boisterous, and they got the flames and the music and smoke and stuff going, so it was good, and it was very close as well, which I think you always want. So Australia won by 9 runs, and it was neck and neck for quite a while when India were chasing them down. Yeah, is that the right terminology?
Yeah, it is. Well done.
Yeah, so it was. It was, another win for Australia, so they've kind of continued their dominance there. There was a little bit of controversy, because what is sport without controversy? Talia McGrath, she played in the final despite testing positive for COVID the morning of the day.
I saw that.
So that was a bit of an interesting one. There's a lot of pictures of her. Before she came out to bat, she was in a separate bit of the stadium in a mask and stuff. I think, having looked at social media and stuff, there's a bit of unhappiness about that, but I think she followed all protocols, and I think Commonwealth Games Federation, the International Cricket Council, and Commonwealth Games Australia all approved it. So in fairness, they were sticking with the rules. It's not like they cheated or anything like that. So there's maybe something more to take up with the regulations for COVID if people kind of find that a bit concerning. But what sport without?
Well, I think they would. Yeah, exactly. But I think they were picking up on it because of what happened to Djokovic and Tennis Australia banning him. That's why, because it was Australia, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's it. I think it was pointed out that if that match had taken place in Australia, then she would have not been able to play and would have had to isolate for like a week or something like that. It is in stark comparison to what happened to some tennis players who went over to Australia at the start of the year for the Australian Open. So, yeah, it was just a bit of an interesting one, but luckily it didn't overshadow the match itself too much, and it was, a brilliant event. So I had a lot of fun in Birmingham. It was good.
You did. Good for you. Well done. And it sounds like overall the competition was a great success, even though people had hardly caught their breath from the European Championship.
Yeah, I mean, when I went up, it was like the city was absolutely buzzing, and it was, everyone was out and about, and they've like decorated the city really nicely. I think there were a lot of kind of like very heartwarming and feel-good moments that came from it, like not even necessarily the sport, just things that are happening around the games that kind of went viral on Twitter and stuff, and just gave it there was a really good atmosphere, I think, kind of happy atmosphere around the games, which is always nice to see. So I think 100% it seems to me that it was a big success, which is great, because you always want a multi-sport competition to go well, and with as little issues as possible. So it'd be a shame that it's over today, but just look forward to the next sporting event.
Right, exactly. Catch your breath. All right, we're going to move on to badminton now, because one of India's greatest sports people in history has won the gold medal there in badminton. Tell us about
so
that.
I just quite like this story. I know there's a lot of gold medals going about, but I just picked this one out because, PV Sindhu, who is I think considered one of India's greatest sports people in history. She's the female badminton player. So she's won 2 Olympic medals. She's won a world title. But a Commonwealth title had always eluded her. And then she finally managed to get it. I think it was this morning, actually, at the Commonwealth Games, beating Michelle Lee in the final. So I just kind of always like it. She'd previously got bronze at Glasgow in 2014 and silver at the Gold Coast in 2018. And I just like it when, you have athletes who are persevering at games for ages and are missing out on the gold and then finally get it. So I thought I'd just mention that one there and say, congrats. Congrats to PV Sindhu.
Yeah, because she was a 2-time Olympic medalist, I read, and 2019 world champion. So she's got quite a collection of medals anyway. So this must have been the icing on the cake, I think. For her.
Definitely. It's just another one to add to the trophy cabinet.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. All right, we're going to move to rugby now in the Premier 15s. You've got a story there from DMP Durham Sharks. Tell us about that. So this story is a bit sobering, to be honest. I mean, we've spoken so much about how positive things have been for women's sport, but this story came out this week, and it kind of just reminded me that, there's still a lot of stuff going on that needs fixing. So this is, from the Premier 15s, which is the women's rugby league here. And one of the teams, DMP Durham Sharks, have said they might have to pull out of next season's competition because they've got a shortfall in funding. So they've launched a crowdfunding bid, essentially just to raise the basic running costs of competing in the league. And as they're based in the Northeast and the only Premier 15s teams based in the Northeast, they just want to keep elite women's rugby alive in that area. So the RFU is currently working with Durham Sharks to find a suitable outcome. But it's just a bit, I think we'll find out in the coming days kind of quite what is happening there and whether they've raised enough money. But I did see it was around £45,000, which is a lot of money to raise in quite a short period of time. So it just shows still kind of, even though we're making advances in some areas, there's other places who aren't getting the funding they need and the resources they need. And I think specifically the bit about the area as well, like it's, great if you have teams in certain areas of the country, and if they go, then that means, will girls in the northeast of England have a rugby team to watch? Like, will they have the role models from their area to look up to? Will they have, like a pathway to get up to elite sport if the team goes? So I think that's why it's even more important that this team sticks around and doesn't pull out with the competition, but we'll just have to see what happens with that. Yeah, I mean, the evidence is there. They state later in the article that the clubs played a role in the development of more than 50 England international representative level players over the past 15 years. So, like we talked about before, we've got to keep this grassroots and the club at club level. We've got to keep that. That's so important. That's the feeder, isn't it, into international sport. So, yeah, good luck to them. All right, we're going to move quickly on now to a running story. Ultra runner set marathon records with a broken knee. I mean, gosh, I've had my injuries, Nancy, but I haven't played with a broken knee. How's she managed to do that?
Yeah, this is pretty incredible, really. So, Kate Jayden, she's a British ultra runner, but she, this is back in April, she'd completed a world record running a marathon every 106 days, which was pretty incredible in itself. This has now been verified by Guinness World Records, and because it's now been verified, she's actually revealed that halfway through the challenge she fractured her knee. So I think it was like the 46th day she realised that she couldn't bear weight as well, but just kind of ran another 60 marathons and then had a MRI scan in May, and it turned out her knee was fractured and she'd knee surgery. It also sounds like she's not actually going to be able to run again, at least long distance. But she said it was an excellent way to go out and is now going to focus on cycling instead. So yeah, just absolute incredible story. I think just shows how determined you can be to do that. To run 106 marathons, and half of that is on a bad knee. I think it's just absolutely incredible. So yeah, fair play to her.
Yeah, good for her. Well, I'm glad she's able to turn to cycling because it's a great, non-weight bearing exercise. So who knows, she might be breaking records there. I better look out.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever get injured on a run or a cycle or something like that, and just remember her, and hopefully she can be inspiration.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I just want to mention before we close, Nancy, this week, whilst all this other sport was happening, meanwhile, in the background, in my sport, of equestrian sport, the World Championships, which used to be the World Equestrian Games since 1990, there were all of the FEI disciplines were together. They split them up because it just became too much in one venue. So they split them up, and in Herning in Denmark started last week as the Dressage World Championships, the para-dressage, and the vaulting and the show jumping. And the team dressage kicked off already. That's always the first event. 2 days of Grand Prix dressage, and Denmark won that, the host nation, which is for me, it's a little bit of a surprise that they were able to beat Great Britain and Germany. They were the other medalists. Usually Great Britain, Germany, the Netherlands, they're the dominant nations. Denmark, USA, vying to get on the podium, fourth and fifth, around there. But for Denmark to leapfrog and beat both Germany and the Great Britain and the Netherlands and the USA was a tremendous success for them, for the home nation. So we're on now to the Grand Prix Special, which is the individual, and that's a qualifier for the freestyle. And so they're both medal events, so they start from scratch again. And then we'll follow with the show jumping. The vaulting has already started too. And then we've got the para-dressage next week. We've also got the show jumping. They had their first veterinary inspection today. So yeah, it's all happening in Herning in Denmark. It's a bit strange not being there, Nancy. It's the first sort of World Championships I've not been to since 1990.
Wow, that is quite, that's incredible.
Yeah. So I'm living vicariously through my colleagues on WhatsApp messaging, as to what's actually happening at Ground Zero in Herning, Denmark. But yeah, so we'll follow that, of course, next week and bring you an update on the medals there from Denmark. And I think that's about a wrap for this week. So I know, Nancy, you're going to run out now and catch a train. And when do you actually stop running and take a little bit of a break from all this fervour of women's sport?
Well, I've got a week off work booked. I think it's next Tuesday until the Tuesday after. So next week, halfway through next week, I have some annual leave. So that would be good. Looking forward to that, having a bit of a break. But then, of course, we'll have the Women's Super League start here again. We've got the US Open. There's so much to look forward to after as well. So I will, after my break, be very excited to get back to it.
Yeah, enjoy the break. But we'll speak to you before you go on that break.
Next week. Yeah.
Yeah, all right, we'll do a wrap-up of the Commonwealth Games. I don't think there's much more to come from that. But as you say, the start of the WSL, let's talk about who's out there, who we need to know about as you get ready for that new season, Nancy. And I'll have more from Herning in Denmark and yeah, plenty of other women's sports. So keep the news coming. And Nancy, thank you very much, as always, for rounding up your stories this week.
No worries. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk about women's sport.
All right, and remind everybody how they can find you talking about it and writing.
So yeah, I'm on Twitter at Nancy_Gillen, and my Instagram is at NancyGillen_sport, and then everything I write is on Give Me Sport Women, and our Twitter handle is at Give Me Sport W.
And please follow us at WiSP on social media and WiSports.com online. And if you have a moment while you're listening to the podcast, it's always great if we could get a review from you on iTunes, because that helps others find the show too. So just give us a 5-star review. All right, that's it from me, Chris Stafford, and from my friend Nancy Gillen over there in London. Nancy, have a great week. For everybody who was listening, thank you very much for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week.